Good afternoon, everyone. This is our live sections from NewStars Migration. This is Victor Lin. Today, we're going to spend some time focusing on the big news, and I believe most of you have, followed the news on which is announced on Tuesday. That is Australian federal budget. Along with the federal budget, it's the migration planning for next financial year. Simply put, it is a great news for skilled migrants next financial year. We pretty much come to a conclusion. The migration planning has come to a level before pandemic. So that the allocation for skilled migrants and the number allocated for skilled migrants has gone back to what it used to be before the pandemic. I'll break down for you in terms of the details of each visa stream. First of all, there's a big increase for skilled migration visa. When we talk about skilled migration visas, we talk about employee sponsorship. We talk about skill independent. We talk about regional, and we talk about state and territory nominated visa. So I'll go through those visas one by one. First thing, for employee sponsored visa for the current financial year, the allocation target is 22,000, but for next financial year, it's 30,000. So there's about 36% of increase. For skill independent, which is 189 visa, the one which issued by the federal government, 189, the one we're all very familiar with, and the one become less and less popular. This financial year is only 6,500, but for next financial year, it has increased 10,000. It gone up to over 1,600, so that's a huge increase. But I'll talk about this. I'll talk about the indication of this increase and would it change the landscape of 189 invitation at all, or to what extent? I'll talk about later. And the next one is regional. Regional visa including two visa types. One is 491. We are very familiar with 491, and that's another one called 494, which is an employee sponsored visa. And for that one, for these two regional visas, it's actually more than double as well. So this financial year it stands as 11,200, and next financial year it will be 25,000 just for the regional visa. For state and territory nominated visa, which is 190 visa, we all like 190 very much. That one also get increased from 11,200 to 20,000. So that's a big increase as well. So till this moment, we can see all those skill visa, four types of skill visa: employee sponsorship, 189 visa, regional visa, and 190 visa, all go a huge increase in terms of numbers. That brings to a conclusion. The next financial year, the migration planning still remains as the same as last financial year. It's still at 160,000. So the overall number is actually the same like this financial year, but it's all about allocation. Allocation happened. There are big differences in terms of allocation. For next financial year, skill stream visas, the four types of visa we just mentioned about, will account for 70% of the programs, with 70% of programs, and overall it's actually increased. It increased about 30,000 places, compared to this financial year. So skilled migrants actually get 30,000 more places. But of course, they will be coming from some places because the overall number remains the same. And this 30,000 places coming from, first of all, it's an increase, particularly resulting from the overall increase of the program, and also there's 10,000 places from the partner program. So partner visa gets the number cut a little bit, and also other visa, for example, business innovation visa, global talent visa, all gets decreased. But overall, it will be a very prospective years for skilled migrant next financial year. When we look at these figures, what does it mean? Because this is figures we have been talking about. We have saw those figures in the past few days since Tuesday. What does it mean for each of us who are looking for 190 or 491 pathways? First of all, we need to go to clarifications in terms of migration planning and state nomination allocation. I will give you an example. Last financial year, the migration planning for 491 and 190, actually not just 491, 190, it's the regional visa and state nominated visa. So bear in mind, when we talk about regional visa, There are actually two types of visa. One is 491 and another one is 494. That's sponsor visa. Although a lot of us we're not going through 494, but it actually accounts certain percentage of the application. So last financial year for 494 and 190, departments looking for 11,200 places. For 190, it's 1,100 to 11,200 places. Overall, it's over 22,000 places. So bear in mind, that's a migration planning this financial year. Department is looking for 22,000 places for these regional visas and state nomination visa. But the actual figure is, if we get to calculate, again, you'll be able to find those information on department website. So if you calculate each state government's allocation for this financial year, including 491 and 190, and we come to a number, it's actually over 25,000 places. What does it mean? So the department is looking to giving 22,000 places for regionals and visas and 190 visa, but each state government is getting 25,000 places. So these two figures was not exactly the same. One is the migration planning, one is the actual allocation figures. What does it mean? The allocation number, you could take it in this way, that it's more like a planning, because that's what it calls, migration planning, migration level planning. So the department is looking for increase of the migrants to certain figures. So they're looking for increasing, for example, another 1,100 permanent residency. So that's actually more related to the visa granted within their financial year. And you have to take another fact into the consideration, that is the processing time of the visa. We know now, currently, a lot of visa actually get processed, completed more than 12 months. So some people get nomination from ACT government this financial year. Your visa will probably be granted the year after, or even 2 years after. And that when your visa granted, that taking the place of the migration planning of that particular financial year. So there's some differences here. So it's not precise the same. But does it have a positive effect when the federal government increased the financial planning figure? Of course. It's actually giving an indication to the state government level, particularly. We'll talk into two directions. One is, what about 189 visa? So we talk about skill visa, skill independent visa, that gets increased next financial year. Will that change the invitation points? We'll say accounting will go back to 90 points. I'm talking about EOI points, 90 points or 85 points, because you get more places. The answer is probably no, because as we just explained, that is about the visa granted the department is looking for from the next financial year. And we all know there are a lot of people had applied for 189 and have been waiting for a long time. So the problem with the 189 is there were so many people in the pool waiting to be assessed. So these people are going to take the places for the next financial year, and the department realized that. So the more allocation is more helpful for processing the cases. So people will probably get their visa sooner under 189 visa, but it doesn't not necessarily means they were lowering down the invitation points for 189 applicants in the EOI. That's normally what we see in the past few financial years, particularly when we talk about 189. That's a visa issued. The invitation was issued by the Department of Home Affairs, and it is assessed by the Department of Home Affairs as well. So, and it's not very clear, which means they do not announce the data, and they do not say we have been granted certain places. Of course, you can FOI the numbers from the department, but most of the people do not have the access or clear figures about how many people get processed within the financial year. So I would say for 189 visa, it's more like an indication the visa will get processed faster, but does not necessarily mean the 189 invitation points will drop significantly. That's about 189. What about state government level, which is 491 visa and 190 visa? We came to a conclusion based on the situation in the past few years. Yes, when the departments increase the financial planning, it gives indication to a state government level. That is, the department's welcoming more 491 visa or more 190 visa holders. So the department is willing to give you more places in terms of visa grant to these two particular streams. And responding to that, state government level going to looking for more places. So state government will ask the department to give him that more allocation. So when they see, I think on Tuesday night, maybe all those managers and directors of the skilled migration programs from all the state governments are actually watching TV as well. When they saw there's an increase of the figures, they were actually thinking there's actually an increase of a lot of places. There's an increase of 13,000 places or something. I'm thinking about I should increase my program by 2,000 places or 4,000 places. So every people trying to take a share from the increased figures or they indicate increased figures, because we all know more allocation figures means more populations, and it is always beneficial for the economics of that particular state. So that's probably the indication. So when we see the migration planning gets more figures for state government level, state government actually responds into that. They're looking for more places. Particularly this financial year, we realize we will also pay close attention to the policy indications from Department of Home Affairs and for the federal budget as well. Right after the federal budget, the Minister of Migration actually made a little speech or a media press saying it's a welcoming. They're going to continue welcoming and promoting regional developments. So that's an indication, and we all know regional means 491 visa. So combining the increase of the figure, combining the policy trend, we think for next financial year, most of the state governments will getting more allocation for 491. As particularly those regional states, saying ACT, Tasmania, Northern Territory, and South Australia. If those governments try to asking for more places for 491 from the Department of Home Affairs, it's more likely their request will be granted or will be approved by a certain way. For example, if Northern Territory is asking for another 500 places and Tasmania is asking for another 1,000 places, it's just the right thing to do. I mean, in terms of those decision makers within the Department of Home Affairs, they will know, well, the migration planning actually get increased, and we somehow have more places to be allocated. And as second, it's the national policy, so they will not hesitate to approve such a request. So that's our understanding based on the current situation. That is, more places, assuming more places, more 491 places will go into state government level. What about 190? We get to ask a lot about 190 questions because everyone likes 190. We know that. State nomination figures also get increased over 8,000 places. Of course, that's an increase as well, not as significant as 491 visa, but that's a big increase as well. Again, it will be the response from the state government. So some state government probably going to asking for more 190 places as well, but some state governments will probably more like 491 visa rather than 190 visa. It's about the attitudes from state government level. Okay, so that's basically what we can see from the allocations and the indication figures so far. What about ACT? We all cared about ACT. I think I mentioned this in the previous live section before. ACT currently have one of the best policy, one of the best guidelines, one of the best invitation, one of the best state government officers among every state. But the problem we have in this financial year is there was not enough places. There was not enough allocations either for 491 and 190. We can see the points increase significantly compared to the last financial year, pretty much for all occupation. It's all about the allocation figures, particularly after January. ACT opened to overseas, and that overseas stream has taken in some invitation round. We see 50% of places actually gets taken by the overseas applicants. So they're actually pushing out the points for the onshore applicants. A little bit unfair in certain way, but it's about ACT do not have enough places. So and I think ACT government should realize that as well. And for next financial year, based on the current policy and the pace positive figures allocation from state government, we hope ACT governments will get more places next financial year. Probably a huge increase overall. This financial year we have 2,000 places, and next financial year I'm talking about if the figure the indication figures from the department, that's another 13,000 places to be allocated for 491 simply. And ACT as one of the major regional areas, and then one of the states have one of the very stable policy. Why wouldn't ACT getting another 1,000 or even more places just for 491, and maybe a few more for 190? So if that's the case, hopefully, if that's the case, when we have more places allocated from the departments, and then ACT going to have enough places, and they will be able to design the allocations to different streams and to different categories. For example, maybe the overseas applicants get to enjoy a particular share, maybe 40% of the overall allocation, and then the onshore applicants will have about 60% of the share. And if that's the case, these two streams are actually not competing with each other in terms of allocation figures. There will still be enough places for both streams. And if that's the case, onshore 491 applicants will see the points drop compared to this financial year. Probably for 491, we're going to see a major, some drops, maybe up to 10 points or 15 points, we don't know, but there will be some decrease of the points for sure. And that's what we're seeing from the allocation. Positive, definitely positive, but in terms of state government level, we still need to wait until beginning of July. Then ACT will tell you we have this much a figure from Department of Affairs. But based our knowledge and our experiences, most state governments actually make their requests about allocation figures somewhere about May or June. So they do not just tell the Department of Home Affairs, I want 4,000 places on the last day of June, and then the figure gets approved for the beginning of July. They will do some communication, maybe a little bargaining as well. So it normally happen a month or two before the end of financial year. So we're probably going to hear some news in May or June about the allocation figure, not just for ACT, for other state government as well. But if that's something gets confirmed, ACT got more places, then that's definitely good news for everyone who are very much like ACT metrics and who are waiting for invitation for the past financial year. Eric was working very hard to get higher points, but because it's very limited places for any occupation, pretty much, the competition it's there, and it becomes much more difficult to get ACT invitation. And actually, if the points remain very high for a certain long time, 1 financial year, 2 financial year, the metrics it's losing its attractions to interstate applicants. That's one of the things I believe ACT government do not want to see as well. Every state governments try to make their skill migration plan attractive to overseas applicants, attract to interstate travelers. So it's not particular competition there, but when you're running a skill migration programs, you want to make the best use of their program to make it to attract talents, to make it to increase population and make it useful for economic growth purpose. So I think that's something most of state government have the sense, particularly ACT government. So I think they know that. So they're gonna hopefully they're gonna asking for more places, probably more than will they set to asking for. But that's one thing we're really happy about. Another news, just to give you an idea about the state government level and the federal level. After this budget announced, we see a little bit change in terms of allocation for this financial year. So all we talk about now is for next financial year, but there are some change about allocation for this financial year, which means every state government have a particular allocation from Department of Home Affairs at the beginning of financial year. But now, those figures get changed or relocated a little bit. Some of the state governments, for example, let's make example. For example, South Australian government, they actually getting more places, about 730 places for 491. So departments giving them 730 places increase for 491 now for the following months, because Southern Australia is actually running out of their 491 places. So the department is giving them more places to keep the program going on. Another significant changes for South Australia. South Australia getting another 1,000 places for 190 and another 750 places for 491. So South Australia is one of the states does not make a very good planning about their migration program. So, but at the very early stage of the financial year, Western Australia has already used all of the places they have. So it's like I think in the first quarter, Western Australia has used all the 190 places and 491 places, and they keep on asking the department, I need more places, but probably the department initially was thinking, that's your problem. I'm giving you places which you asked for, but then it's you who does not plan out your allocation in a reasonable way, and you're giving all the places to your applicants, and that leaves you with no allocation at all for the rest, 2 quarters or 3 quarters of the financial. That's your problem. But now, department is giving them more places, just so all Western Australian applicants will have more coming invitations in the following 3 months. So we see some increase for some state government level, but for ACT, no, we remain the same. So I don't know the attitude from ACT. Probably ACT was not looking for more places, or probably ACT's idea is we don't like to ask something in the middle of the year. It's actually interrupting their planning for this financial year. But hopefully next financial year ACT will be active asking for more places, and because we see this is a big cake here. Every people is trying to take in the share, particular for a government like ACT, we have a very stable system. Why not? We should take big shares of 491 and probably 190 as well. And following that, people is asking metrics points. Just my opinion, my prediction is 491 points will drop next financial year. 190 is really about the allocation percentage. So for example, even ACT getting 3,000, 4,000 places, how much, what percentage goes to 491, what percentage goes to 190? If 190 still remain 20%, that does not increase the 190 allocation figure significantly, so the competition will be still there. If that's the case, there are these about 80% to 491, and then 491, we're going to have a lot of 491 places, and then if that's the case, the points for 491 definitely drops. But it's really about, is it going to be 20% versus 80% or 30% versus 70%? That's my personal opinion as well. It will probably not going down to more than 30%. So I don't think 190 will be accounts for 40 or 50%, like some of the state, for example, Southern Australia is actually getting 50-50. But ACT, they pretty clear, understand ACT is a regional, Canberra is a regional area, and they think the attitude is actually 491 is better than 190 in terms of keeping people staying in ACT, and people have to stay here for a longer time. We get it. So, but to keep certain amounts of the 190 allocations actually make the program attractive. ACT government actually can play this in a smart way. So only the best, only the people who contribute the most, only those people with the skill, in short, for ACT labor market gets 190. But you need to have 190, certain percentage of 190, not 50 190 out of 4,000 places. That will make their program certain kind of unattractive, particularly for those people only accept 190 pathway. So certain balances should be there. Overall amount should be increased. Certain balance should be there. So, but anyway, we're looking forward to what we're going to see for next financial year. But overall, it's a great news for skill migrations, which most of people will be. Any people watching my channel will be. Most of you will be looking for 491 190 pathway, and that's a great news. Of course, there are other news, come along with the federal budget. For example, for working holiday visa and humanitarian visa, all those visas, there are some changes as well. And also family stream. I will talk about family stream a little bit. For family stream, that gets increased as well. So for parents visa, so parent visa gets allocated. And last financial year it's 4,500 places, and this financial year is 6,000 places. So for parents, you're getting more, 1,500 places more. It probably will fasten the processing time. We know now, even you go for the contributory stream, which you pay a lot of money to state government, to the federal government, before your visa being granted. The waiting time is still, few years. Based on calculation, it might go up to 7, 8 years or 9 years. Even you pay for the contributory fee, but the only solution for that is the government needs to increase allocation figures every financial year to hasten the processing. Otherwise, some parents, we know like most of people get their permanent residency at the age of 25 to 30. If that's the case, their parents is somewhere about 55, 60, even 65. And if the processing time goes into 7, 8 years of time, by the time your parents get permanent residency in Australia, it's probably 65 or 70 years, 70 years old. And that will be too old, isn't it? When they come to Australia, they were 60 or 75 years old. And I understand the purpose of the policy. We all understand the purpose of policy. It's all about the social benefits and everything, but it's just not. Doesn't seem very much of helping the new migrants for the purpose of uniting with their family, particularly parents. So, but anyway, it's about election probably as well. But we don't talk about politics on this channel. But we wait and see next month who wants the elections. Different party probably share different opinions about certain visas. But there's another question we get asked after Tuesday: would the election change this planning at all? Based on the previous, actually last elections and the plannings and migration planning and that year and the previous experience, generally speaking, this is a location figure generally agreed by both parties before it announced. Particularly, about the migration planning. Even the existing party or the new party will not change that much about the allocation. They're probably going to change something, but not significantly. So this is pretty much what we're looking at for next financial year. That's something we want to talk about, particularly this year. So skill migration, huge increase, very positive, allocation figure. Hopefully, these positive allocation figures will bring down to the state government level, and then each state government is getting more places, particularly for like ACT to get more places, so everyone have a chance. Not everyone, but those people have been working hard and to get more matrix points. Then you will have a chance at least for getting a 491 invitation. That's what we're looking at too. Looking forward to that, and we'll keep on updating you all those information. If you have any questions, particular questions regarding to your application, you're more than welcome to contact us or visit our office for consultation. Thank you very much.